everyone, welcome back to another video on my channel. I hope everyone's having a fantastic day today. Today we are doing the final video of the Wolf Among Us characters, creating them in The Sims 4. I had a lot of fun doing this mini-series. It was really cool being able to play the game the first time and then going into Create a Sim, trying to create the characters and just really thinking about their personalities and stuff like that. That is something I always really love to do. So in this video, the first person that we are creating right now is going to be Beauty. The tricky thing about Beauty was actually her hair color. So in the game, she kind of has this goldish hair color. Meanwhile, in the actual lore of Beauty and the Beast, she has brown hair. I decided to try and match her as closely to the character from The Wolf Among Us rather than from the lore, seeing as for her traits, I decided to give her art lover, materialistic, and mansion baron because her whole storyline is how she's in debt and now she needs to work new jobs. She got involved with a crooked man, and so it kind of just made sense to me to give her those traits. Next up, we are creating her husband, which is Beast. Again, for Beast, it was a little bit difficult, especially with his hair color. I couldn't exactly get it right. In the game, it almost looks like he has a reddish hair color, like a dark red hair color. So I was having trouble deciding whether to give him kind of a red hair color or brown hair color. I believe we go for brown in the end, a very light brown. That's kind of what I decided to do. It didn't really make sense to give him red hair, but other than that, I think he came out pretty well. For Beast, I decided to make him jealous, materialistic, and a snob because he is very jealous and possessive over Beauty, in my opinion. He gets into fights with Big B when he thinks that Big B has some sort of involvement with Beauty. He doesn't even give anyone a chance to explain what's going on. So to me, that's a very jealous way of handling things, and materialistic and snob for the same reasons I gave Beauty her traits. The next character we are doing is going to be Grendel. So for him, the difficulty just came with, in the series, he has a blind eye, and I couldn't really do that in The Sims 4. I tried to figure out a way to do that, but at the end of the day, unless I have a mod to give him two different colored eyes, it just wasn't going to work out. So instead, we decided to match the color of the other eye, which is this greenish olive color. I decided to make him loyal and hot-headed because he's very loyal to his friends at the bar, but he does have a bit of a temper. He also gets into a lot of arguments and fights over nothing. If he just calmed down and had a civilized conversation, he wouldn't get into those fights. So that's why I decided to make him hot-headed. The next sim we are working on is Holly. She's one of my favorite characters. I think she looks absolutely gorgeous, but also she has a very strong personality, and that's something I really like. She doesn't take any trouble from anyone. She really just inserts her dominance. Plus, I think it's really cool making sims that have like grayish or silver hair. I always think that's a very pretty thing to do. Something that was slightly different about Holly is that she actually has a tattoo kind of by her chest. The Sims 4 is fairly limited with tattoos. It has gotten better over time, seeing as some more tattoos have been added. I just wish there were more. None of them really suited, but I decided to go with the only one that I could kind of somewhat justify her having, so that's what I decided to do for her tattoo. I decided to give her the red dress. It doesn't suit 100%, but it's the best that I could come up with. And for her traits, I decided to make her a foodie, ambitious, and her lifetime goal is mixology because she works in a bar. Next up, we actually have her sister Lily. So we didn't actually get to experience Lily that much in The Wolf Among Us. We never got to meet her. But I got her image from a photograph that is in the game, so that's kind of what I based it off of, and I couldn't see a full body picture, so I kind of had to imagine when it came to some of her clothing options. So I basically took what she had and just changed it a little bit, but this is what I decided to do for Lily as well. For her traits, I just gave her the romantic trait and zero romance trait because she worked at the pudding and pie. So I imagine she must have been pretty flirty in order to do her job. I mean, that was her job, and she had a lot of issues and stuff like that, but I didn't necessarily want to focus on that. The main part of her story was working at the pudding and pie and for what happened to her. So that's kind of what I decided to focus on. Next up, we have probably one of my favorite characters in this entire series, and that is Nerissa. So Nerissa is actually based off of the Little Mermaid, which is interesting because the Little Mermaid's name is Ariel and this character's name is Nerissa. So again, there's kind of a difference between the lore and the game. It's possible that she comes from like a different story, but her story kind of mimics what happens in the Little Mermaid. So it was very unique. I wish I could have put a flower in her hair, but unfortunately there was just nothing in the game that I could do to mimic that, so she doesn't really get a flower in her hair, and she doesn't look exactly like Nerissa, but I couldn't think of any other things to do to make her look more like the character. I couldn't find an exact dress that kind of matched, I couldn't find an exact hair that matched, so this is just what I ended up doing for her. I decided to make her romantic, loyal, and a dance machine because again she works at the Pudding and Pie, so some of those traits relate to that. And she's also loyal. When her friends are murdered and killed, she went the extra mile to try and make sure they receive justice, and I think that's a very loyal thing for someone to do. Second to last, we have Vivian, who kind of owns the Pudding and Pie, or is one of the leaders in the Pudding and Pie for what I could kind of understand. She definitely works there and she's definitely higher up. For her traits, I decided to make her materialistic, music lover, and ambitious, just because of her ties to the Pudding and Pie. I don't think we see her dance. I don't think she's really referred to as a dancer. Kind of by the end of The Wolf Among Us, I don't want to do too many spoilers, even though I think I already have. She seems to play a huge part in the Pudding and Pie and involvement for that, so that's kind of why I decided to give her those traits. The last person we are going to be working on is going to be Georgie Porgy. He is the guy in charge at the Pudding and Pie. He is quite a character. He's definitely a bad guy. He is always framed as a bad guy. He treats women very poorly, and that is something that I really don't love about him. And as the story goes on, you just find out more and more about him. That just makes things worse and worse. So for him, we decided to make him hot-headed. He's very argumentative. Again, kind of like the other characters, he likes to fight, speaks down on others. He's also a music lover because he owns the club, so that just kind of made sense to me. And he's evil because I believe he is an evil man. I do not like that character at all, but I'm pretty sure that was the whole design of him, so they did a very good job. I also decided to make him a public enemy because I'm pretty sure everybody hated that guy. Now we are busy getting into the screenshots, which means we are at the end of the video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button and subscribe so that you're notified every time I post a new video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Bye guys.